As a crisis in Cuba continues, many Canadian headlines are focused on travel shutdowns and restrictions. However, some politicians are saying the U.S.-led oil blockade could be provoking a severe humanitarian crisis in the country. Joining us to talk more about this emergency is Julio Fonseca, the co-chair of the Canadian Network on Cuba. And he joins us right now here in studio. Thank you so much for being with us today. We're hearing a lot of concerning things coming out of Cuba, but I want to focus on the people living there that call Cuba home. You're in touch with family members, communities. What are you hearing about what life is like right now?
Well, yes, I am in touch with family, with friends. We are, those of us who are outside Cuba, we are concerned as much as they are. So we keep checking with them how the situation is evolving. And, well, you know, it is necessary to know that, for those who don't, that the United States has imposed a blockade, economic, financial, and a blockade, economic and financial and commercial to Cuba for 65 years. So that tells you that Cubans are used to difficulties, to shortages, but the concerning thing here right now is whether Trump will bomb Cuba like he did with Venezuela. And that is why people are scared, because they wonder whether one day they will wake up and under bombs by the United States. And you can imagine the humanitarian disaster or chaos that will ensue that act if it happens. I hope it doesn't. Mm-hmm. Now, but this last presidential decree by Trump, which blockades Cuba's access to fuel, and then Cuba has not received oil in the month of January, and so they are living with what they have right now. And so, of course, there are priorities. But imagine if this blockade continues, what will happen with the hospitals? What will happen with transportation? What will happen to children that are in intensive care units? What will happen to the patients that have to be taken care daily? How do people move from one place to another?
Do you have answers to that? I mean, do we know a recent time where it's been this bad, where the shortages have had this many impacts?
Yes, well, the time in the early 90s, which was called the special period, but yes, we suffered difficulties back then, but nothing compared to what is happening today.
So this is the worst you've
This
seen
is, in my opinion, this is the worst that Cuba has endured.
And when you have this fuel shortage, and there's a domino effect where the tourism industry that a lot of Cubans depend on, where you're not getting visitors, that is a domino effect. What sort of devastation could that offer to people who work at resorts and support their families there?
Okay, well, Cuba does not have that amount of natural resources that other countries have. The resource of Cuba is its people. And then, of course, those who work for the tourist industry, whose survival depends on their jobs, they are concerned, of course, more than anybody else. Yeah. But on top of that, tourism is the one important source of income with hard currency to Cuba. So if tourism stops, like it did during the COVID pandemic, it will create a gap in their resources. So Cuba right now is trying to prioritize things with whatever very little they have at this point.
Let me ask you, is there a role for the international community here?
Absolutely. Cuba has been a generous and solidarious country all its life. Cuba has helped when others have sent bombs. Cuba has sent doctors. So this is what I believe. Cuba has spread solidarity and love around the world. We Cubans hope that this is the moment for the world to respond.
In which way?
Well, solidarity, denouncing the injustice, demanding that the laws, the basic laws and principles are applied as it is understood by international law. It is absolutely illegal to try to starve a whole population to submission, because the problem that the United States have with Cuba is that they cannot stand that Cuba still defends its right to self-determination.
Okay. Julio Fonseca, thank you so much for coming in and speaking with us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for covering this for us. Thanks.